Destiny 2 has a ton of unique and interesting combos, and episode Heresy brought a whole lot of new combos that are very strong, like infinite bolt charge, tons of heavy ammo, and so much more. So in this video, I'll go over 17 exotic combos in episode Heresy. I'm Marshix and I make Destiny 2 guides for solo players. If you enjoy, all I ever ask for is just a like down below. Geomags just got a massive buff to both parts of the exotic. First of all, it now gives you 7% of your super back each time you pick up an ionic trace. That's almost 3 times what it did before, and that means you only need 14 ionic traces at most to get your full super back. And on top of that, sprinting while you have 6 stacks of bolt charge will top off your super, so you'll be spamming Kamehamehas every couple minutes. But how are we getting all these ionic traces? Well, we're pairing Geomags with Delicate Tomb. This exotic will create ionic traces with kills, and it will become overcharged each time we collect an ionic trace. Then throw in Spark of Discharge to make even more ionic traces with Delicate Tomb, and to give us bolt charge each time we collect an ionic trace. So now we're making tons of ionic traces, and each one will give us ability energy, bolt charge, super energy, overcharged Delicate Tomb, and make us amplified with electrostatic mind. Not only will you be electrifying everything, but you also get tons of supers to nuke champions and melt bosses. You can get bolt charge really fast to create lightning strikes constantly. Titans just got a new aspect called Storm's Keep. This will enhance our barricades by giving us stacks of bolt charge while we stand behind it. With 10 stacks of bolt charge, dealing damage with the weapon behind your enhanced barricade will call down a bolt of lightning on your target. This will deal a big burst of damage, basically the same damage as ignitions, but these will trigger over and over in the background. Now, Thunderlord also just got a change, giving you stacks of bolt charge while you're dealing damage with it. So between Thunderlord and the new aspect, you'll get max bolt charge in only a few seconds, and you're instantly using those stacks while you shoot to create even more lightning for a bunch of extra damage. And this barricade also buffs your teammates, so if there are multiple people running this, you'll create constant lightning strikes and absolutely melt everything with ease. On the Prowl is a new aspect that marks targets whenever you turn invisible. Killing the marked target will trigger a smoke bomb that weakens enemies, and walking into it will turn you and your allies invisible. This is already really strong for an aspect, but we're going to abuse this by using Rat King. This will turn us invisible each time we reload after a kill. So just get 1 kill and then reload to activate on the Prowl, then start hunting down those marked targets to collect their benefits. And if you ever break the chain, just get a single kill with Rat King to start it back up. One of the strongest support exotics just got way better. Cenotaph Mask is a helmet that automatically reloads your trace rifles over time, and whenever you hit a large target with a trace rifle, they will become marked. If one of your teammates kills the marked target, it will drop heavy ammo for all your teammates, and you'll get special ammo too. However, this means you'll need to use a trace rifle as your special weapon, and who wants to do that? Well, that is until now. The brand new seasonal exotic is Lodestar, the first ever primary ammo trace rifle. So now you can generate ammo with your primary weapon, and you can use all your special ammo drops on something better like a fusion rifle or grenade launcher. And since Cenotaph reloads it even while you're shooting it, you'll have almost infinite ammo while you're in the ADS mode, and you can shoot the hipfire mode like twice as long. This random SMG can deal a lot of damage. Peacekeepers is a Titan exotic that increases the damage of SMGs the longer you shoot them. Each bullet will give you 1 stack, and at 20 stacks, this will give you double damage. So SMGs with large magazines benefit the most from this, since you can keep the maximum buff for longer. And surprisingly, Yarovit is the best for this. This world drop SMG can get rewind rounds and deconstruct. Both of these perks do basically the same thing, refunding ammo as you shoot the weapon. So between both of these perks, you can shoot for 8 seconds straight before you have to reload, and if I did my math correctly, that's about 120 rounds per magazine. And most of those will have double damage. And it's not even an exotic. You can create devastating nukes using sealed Ahamkara grasp. These just got a change, so now whenever you get a powered melee kill, it will reload your stowed weapons and give them a massive 35% damage buff for a few seconds. That's a lot of value for just 1 punch. So if you pair this with something like Parasite, heavy-handed to create an orb of power with your melee, and solar weapon surges to buff your damage even more, you can get 1 melee kill to get multiple buffs to Parasite, then swap to Parasite and commit war crimes. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Stormcaller is finally good. It only took 10 years. Stormdancer's Brace will increase the damage of Stormcaller after every kill. Before, this was 10% per kill, but now it's double that, giving 20% per kill, or in other words, double damage at 5 stacks and triple damage at 10 stacks. Now that change is great, but it also got a nerf at the same time, making it return less super energy than it used to. So we need another way to charge it up fast, and the best weapon for that is Bad Juju. Kills with Bad Juju will give you stacks of String of Curses. Each stack will give you a damage buff and give you way more super energy than other weapons. So just pop your super to clear out all the scary stuff, then once it ends, finish off the remaining enemies with bad juju to get the rest of your super so you can enter the next fight with another OP Stormcaller. We recently got our hands on Slayer's Fang, and while it is interesting, it could use a little bit more damage. So that's why we're pairing it with no backup plans. This will increase your shotgun damage whenever you have an overshield, and getting shotgun kills will give you an overshield. That's a 35% damage buff that you'll have constantly on Titan. And since Slayer's Fang gives itself a damage buff after one kill, and it can apply weaken, all of these buffs will stack, taking its damage from this blob of numbers to this yellow blob of numbers, and even more if you have weapon surges on your boots. That's more than double damage, and you don't have to go out of your way to start it. Just get 1 or 2 shotgun kills beforehand, and now your shotgun hits way harder. And I might as well mention this here, Lord of Wolves also just got a change, so now if you hit fire with it, it will deal more damage and apply Scorch. But this version is hitting way harder than it should be, and Bungie plans on fixing it. But until they fix it, no backup plans takes this to a new level, making this one of the highest DPS weapons in the game. But we know this is going to get fixed very soon, if it's not already fixed by the time this video goes out. But just look how crazy this is. The ability to weaken targets is extremely powerful in high level content, and this combo will weaken everything around you constantly. Gwisin Vest just got a change, so now whenever you exit invisibility, it will automatically weaken everything around you. So if you're able to play up close and turn invisible often, you can weaken almost everything you encounter. So let's do that by pairing Gwisin Vest with Stylish Executioner. This will make it so you turn invisible each time you kill a weakened target. So now you turn invisible one time, then you'll weaken everything when you reappear, and then everything weakened will turn you invisible again to repeat the cycle and stay invisible forever. And this only gets better when you throw in On The Prowl to mark targets constantly for more weakening clouds from a distance. Everything will become weakened and you will never die. You can fill the battlefield with Void Souls. Child of the Old Gods will give you a Void Soul each time you place a rift. This will hunt down enemies and suck the life out of them, just like my ex-wife. Anything in the Void Soul's radius will weaken them, drain their health, and whenever they die, you get some of your rift back. Now, Secant Filaments just got an update, so now whenever you place your rift to spawn your Void Soul, you will also gain Devour, and while you have Devour, all kills will give you additional class ability energy. So now we place our rift to get a Void Soul, and kills with Devour will give us health, grenade energy, and class ability energy, which we can then use to place another rift to repeat the cycle. So not only will you become nearly invincible in most content, but you'll also be able to spam your abilities and create multiple Void Souls to cover the battlefield. Then, if you want to double down on Devour, throw in Buried Bloodline, so even if you somehow run out of your abilities, you can still get Devour with your weapon to start the loop. You can easily give Microcosm 2 damage buffs with the press of one button. Helm of Saint 14 will blind enemies who enter your bubble and give you a damage buff by entering your bubble. This is a 25% damage buff, but if we pair this with Microcosm, it becomes a 50% damage buff. Microcosm is a heavy trace rifle that gets a damage buff after your super ends. Because Bubble is a one and done super, this will activate as soon as you place the bubble, instantly giving you both buffs, which results in 50% more damage before we factor in other buffs like weapon surges and debuffs. So just pop your super to get both buffs, then DPS with the simplest heavy weapon in the game. This exotic sucks, but if you pair this with Radiant Dance Machines, it gets a lot better. Radiant Dance Machines just got a change, so now instead of getting unlimited dodges for a short time, you now charge up your dodge with primary ammo kills. This will give you 1/3 of a dodge per kill, and you can now hold up to 3 dodges at a time. Now, Barrow Dyad is a new exotic SMG that builds up charge as you deal damage, and just hitting 3 separate targets will give you a large amount of charge. Then, whenever you reload it, it will convert your charge into tracking projectiles that bounce between enemies. But while you do have to reload it, it doesn't require a hard reload. It will also trigger off marksman dodge. So just use this SMG as your primary weapon to build up charge for the gun and get multiple dodges. Then when you're ready to blow your load, just dodge to reload and then send them flying. Then continue to get kills and repeat. And in a few weeks, whenever we get our hands on the Barrow Dyad Catalysts, this will also get One for All for some extra damage. The strongest perk on exotic class items is Spirit of Star Eater. Picking up Orbs of Power will give you Feast of Light. This stacks up to 6 times, and each stack will increase the damage of your super. So obviously this is very strong, but we need a lot of orbs to both charge our super and then overcharge it with Star Eater. Well, look no further because we have access to a handheld orb factory. Velocity Baton is an area denial grenade launcher that gets attrition orbs. Because this deals damage over time, it will activate attrition orbs 2 times per shot. meaning each burst will spawn 2 orbs of power before we factor in other things like Reaper and Siphon mods. So after just a few seconds of using this, you'll pile up dozens of orbs and get Feast of Light in no time. You can freeze everything and then blow them up with fire. Icebreaker is a sniper rifle that instantly ignites enemies each time you get a precision kill or shatter them. And its catalyst will return ammo each time you hit a slow to frozen target. So if you're able to freeze everything you encounter, you can basically use this as a primary weapon to ignite everything. So how are we doing that? Well, Warlocks have access to Bleak Watcher and Rhymecoat Raiment. So you can convert your grenade into a stasis turret that slows everything it hits, and Rhymecoat will surround it with stasis crystals that you can shoot for an explosion. Or if you stand inside the Rhymecoat Storm, Icebreaker itself will be able to slow and freeze enemies for even more ignitions. Glaives are finally worth using. All glaives now deal more damage on the 3rd attack of their melee combo. So now Winterbite, the heavy ammo glaive, can hit really hard, and we can buff that even more by using Synthoceps. This is a Titan exotic, but it's also on the exotic class items for all 3 characters. This will double your glaive melee damage while you're surrounded by enemies, which is going to be active almost all the time since you plan on meleeing things. So now your heavy ammo glaive can absolutely chunk champions and some bosses. Just don't get too greedy. You can deal some really high burst damage going into a fight. But first, if you are enjoying this video, be sure to leave a like down below. Spirit of the Eternal Warrior is available on Titan exotic class items. Popping your super will give you a damage buff for your weapons that match that element. So if you use Thunder Crash as your super, this will give your arc weapons a 25% damage buff for 30 seconds. Now, the weapon we're pairing with this is Grand Overture. This will build up missiles as you shoot it, and you can hold reload to dump the entire volley in about 1 second. So what you can do is Thunder Crash something to deal a lot of damage, then pull out Grand Overture and immediately hit them with a full volley of missiles that all have the damage buff. This will deal a ton of damage instantly, making it great for bosses that have really short damage phases. And if you want to further improve this, you can get a class item with Eternal Warrior and Star Eater to make your Thunder Crash deal even more damage, and you still get to keep the damage buff from Eternal Warrior. Or you could just say screw it to the class items and just use Curse of the Falling Star. The best primary weapon in the game right now is Vex Mythoclast. This is the one and only fusion rifle that takes primary ammo, so ammo cannot be a problem. And because it is a fusion rifle, we can pair it with Rain of Fire. This will make us Radiant each time we get a kill with a fusion rifle, which once again is our primary weapon, so Radiant will basically be a permanent damage buff on any subclass. Now, I know I covered this in the past, but this season it became even stronger. We now have access to particle reconstruction in the artifact. This will make Vex Mythoclast apply a debuff to anything it touches, and this will stack with Radiant, so not only are you dealing more damage, you're also dealing more damage. And this debuff will affect your other fusion rifles and linear fusion rifles. So what you can do is use Vex Mythoclast as your primary weapon to become Radiant, hit a boss to debuff them with Vex, then swap to a heavy linear fusion rifle, and that too will benefit from both buffs to deal a lot more damage with very little setup. This next combo gives you infinite ammo and freezes everything, but you have to click on this video to see how. Thank you all so much for watching, I'm Marshix, and I'll see you next time.